Story time for my first road traffic offence, which gave me 8 points in my first few months of driving. Let me explain that now. So it's about 9 or 10 p.m. at night, and I'm in an MX-5, which was a soft top car. I didn't have a hard top on it, and I see a couple of cars pull up behind me, and suddenly there's maybe 10 plus Donnies in puffer jackets and hats starting to walk over. May I add that number one, I'm also with a girl that I'd met for the second time, and number two, I was in an area that's pretty notorious for it being a shithole filled with knife crime and little nitties that think they're actually part of a gang. Before you say, oh, well, what do you expect? You knew you were in a shit area. Look, that doesn't actually have anything to do with the people doing and acting how they acted. I just thought it'd improve the story. Anyways, I'm sat there with this girl I'd met for the second time in the car, completely minding our own business, but I guess I'm being sort of subconsciously vigilant and just checking my rearview mirror and stuff like that, doing nothing to suggest that we were staring at them at all, because we weren't. So a few minutes go by, they've not approached the car anymore up until some girls decide to come over, and they've got their, I guess, cameras on the go on their phone with the flashlights on, and they're like banging on the passenger window and filming. Now, of course, this particular girl in my car seems to think I know who the fuck these people are. At least from memory, that's how I think it went down. I didn't have a clue who the fuck they were. I couldn't hear what they were saying, and I may or may not have been telling them to fuck off or something like that. Probably. As you'd imagine, you don't know, just some random strangers come up, banging on your shitty little fucking car that's probably going to fall apart if they keep banging on it, and they're filming with flashlights on at that time in a random fucking car park. You know what I'm saying? You add all these things together, and it's like, what do you expect? I wasn't gonna act as if it was a normal situation to be in. Because they're absolutely ignoring everything I'm fucking saying, I thought, right, I need to start the car up, like ASAP, and maybe if I rev the fuck out of the car, they might shit themselves. And in case you hadn't figured, with my history of cars being loud and obnoxious and irritating, the MX-5 was also straight piped, and it also had a diagonal exhaust pipe at the side, which should basically spray out any fucking fuel at the top, so that probably caked them in shit as well, whether they knew it or not. But yeah, that's a great contributing factor as to why the fuck they should get away from the car. So the car is started up, I've revved the fuck out of it, and I'm guessing the lads that were for some reason some distance away from the girls at this point in time, maybe they thought I'd moved the car and maybe caught these girls because they jumped back a little bit and screamed as I revved the car, which by the way was absolutely not the case, although they did deserve it. The car was in neutral, the handbrake was up, I wasn't going anywhere. So at this point the girls have shit themselves because I've revved the car up a little bit, and then one lad decides to drive his car kind of diagonal and park up near me so I couldn't actually drive forwards out of the car park. And by this point in time, once I've started to move the car, thinking I don't know what the hell is going on, but I need to get the fuck out of it because, I mean, obviously not just for my safety, but I don't want anything happening to this girl that I've just fucking met, you know what I'm saying? So one Donnie's blocked me in. They got these girls fucking filming and shouting and screaming and swearing and God knows what else. All these lads now running over from cars that were already parked up that had turned up prior to the girls coming to the car. And then as I'm moving, some other little dweeb comes over in a different car, parks up trying to block me in. And at the same time, I'm still moving. I'm thinking, I need to get out of here. And of course, what happens is he's just stopped and I'm still moving. Our cars collide. This is where shit gets a bit fucking mad. So if I wasn't the slightest bit intimidated in the first place with a large sum of people turning up and in puffer coats and cars here, there and everywhere, and now my car's just hit another fucking car, more people seem to be getting out of cars that I just didn't even realise existed at this point in time. The lads are getting out of the car that I've just fucking collided with, which I guess he kind of collided with me. He just happened to stop at the exact point of us colliding. And of course, more people from the first car that was parked up blocking me anyways, more people got out of that, and it was just like, oh my fucking god, this is just a shit show. I wasn't stopping for anything, right? I'm sat there anyways, thinking I need to get the fuck out of it. Do you think after another 10-man deploy onto the fucking map and just spawn out of nowhere that I was going to remain stationary? Now let's exchange insurance details because we've had an accident. No. So my car's collided with this little dweeb's car. I've had to then go forwards because my car's basically penetrating his front end. And once I've done that and reversed around it, I guess my bumper has caught his car some more. Maybe that's why my bumper was hanging off. So I'll continue to reverse fucking rapid, basically wheel spin at this point in time. Remember, I've got a welded diff. Tires were probably legal-ish. Reversed it all the way into the fucking corner. Everyone's running over in their fucking dusty coats. Obviously, they wouldn't have just gotten dressed to do that. That'd be weird. Huh? And they're shouting and swearing and trying to chase me down, and I'm still reversing into this corner. Everyone's basically in front of me, and I've just thought, nah, fuck this. And at this point, by the way, girl that I met for the second time, still in the car. Not really said or done too much, to be fair, but hats off to her, right? But I'm sat there, every fucking Donny's running to the car. I've just been wheel spinning the fuck out of the car, slapped it in fucking first. It wasn't actually that much, you have to put it in first out of short shifter, just subtle flex with the race clutch as well, I believe. And I've just thought, basically, WWVDD.
You know what that means?
What would Vin Diesel do?
Or in this case, WWMVD. Yep, car slapped into first, and I've just thought, fuck it, rev it, drop the clutch, and just fucking send it through the car park. And obviously there's clouds and shit behind me, and all these people running and then jumping on top of the car. So I'm flying through this car park. I've got some Donny banging on the roof, holding on top of the soft top, one person that was holding on top of the bonnet, a couple people that tried to get on the car and just basically fucking rolled off of the car. Obviously, at this point in time, assessing various things in this situation, even before the collision of the cars, I'm thinking, like, I don't know if these guys have got anything on them. Like, people are getting fucking chefed up left, right, and center. You think I'm risking, I don't know, a driving offense or a murder's car? Like, risking my life for that? The math ain't mathin'. Yeah, anyway, it was literally like a fucking movie at this point in time, and it still continues to get worse, may I add, by the way. But yeah, sending it through the car park, bashing the limiter, and the clouds behind me. I'm sure if there was no people there, no accidents, it probably would have looked kind of cool, especially for an MX-5. But that didn't end there anyway, so I've left the fucking car park, flying. I'm trying to see if this girl is okay, and I'm thinking, oh my god, this is just the fucking worst thing that could have possibly happened. Definitely getting a hard block as soon as we get home or some sort. So I'm fucking racing, cutting in and out of fucking lanes and whatever else, and trying to think of the best route to get to the best place where I think maybe some people may be chilling, because this is back when people used to chill in car parks and it weren't too gay. Well, I was only 19, pretty degenerate in an MX-5, not really much going on in life, and yeah, didn't really have any role models to look up to, and certainly wasn't entrepreneurial. So I guess what better way to waste your time than to sit in a car park with friends chatting crap. Anyway, I've gone to this additional car park, which is maybe 5 miles or so away, and they're all like, what the fuck? Obviously they weren't expecting me to turn up. I didn't speak to anyone, and it was just by chance that these people were there, thankfully. So I'm trying to explain the situation. None of these people have ever met this girl, by the way. Obviously it's the second time I've ever met her, so I'm like, didn't really have much time for introductions as such, and I'm trying to explain the situation. My bumper's clads on the floor, my lights all smashed in, the car's been murked down the side. It's just fucking, it just wasn't good. So the next point to this story, the situation has in fact been addressed. Nobody else has turned up at this point in time, and I'm thinking, oh right, okay, maybe it's time to just head back, ditch the car somewhere where no one's gonna find it, especially in case these people knew of me and somehow managed to find out where I lived or something like that. At least if the car's out of sight, then we should be somewhere safe. So I go to get some fuel, probably put in £5, £10 on me. I was broke as fuck, probably borrowed the money to be fair, and I'm now looking over and I say to my mate, like, those cars weren't at the car park that we were at, were they? And he's like, no. Why are they just sat over there parked up? Bear in mind, at this point, it's like 11:30, nearly midnight at night as well. No one about anywhere. It's probably like a Sunday night or some shit like that. It's just a bit fucking weird, so a bit fishy. And I thought, okay, well, let's just all fucking quickly get in the cars and whatnot. So I distributed people in different cars, and at this point in time, it's now just me and my mate at the time in the MX-5, right? And unless you're a bit of a simpleton, now that it's just you and your mate in the car, driving means that the limit as to how far you can push things kind of creeps up just ever so slightly. Within reason, of course. Just to clarify, I mean having another male in your car is supposed to having either your partner or a female or a family member or something like that. You get what I'm saying? Okay, cool. On to the story. So we start to leave the petrol station, and the car or cars, it was definitely at least 2 cars. I remember one of them being a Polo GTI, and it was just like, that's fantastic. This MX-5 stands zero chance if it come down to trying to evade this notoriety that I've managed to accrue on a stretch. It really will just come down to driver ability, providing I can get in and out of corners and whatnot. So we leave the petrol station, and conveniently their car starts up, lights are on, and they start moving as well. Although they do leave a bit of a gap, I guess, a bit of time, as if they weren't able to be easily spotted, just parked up on a curb outside of a fucking shopping centre car park. Like, at that time, I'm like, come on, use your brains. Me and my friend in this vehicle of mine, in this MX-5, we're going down, and funny enough, we're taking a bit of a steady-ish drive. It was a bit abrupt, but it was still steady, and eventually, maybe a minute later or 30 seconds later, these people turn up behind us. I'm like, they're definitely them. So we speed up a little bit more. What happens? These people speed up even more, and of course probably the Polo GTI creeps up considerably faster compared to the other car, and for my liking, bearing in mind this car is basically slow as fuck that I own. It's just a 1.6 NA, right? It's just light, that's it. Light and used to be nimble before I had a welded diff. So I'm thinking, fuck that, we need to get out of this situation ASAP. I'm not having another event that's just fucking happened a little while ago. So I fucking pin it over these roundabouts, weaving in and out of these corners, basically fucking doing some like crazy drift. You know, Tokyo Drift, I think, is it Han or Sean or someone like that, where they're going over that crossing across the bend. It's just a fat long drift. That's what I felt like I was doing. I'm going around these like long bends which eventually go onto a straight, and I can feel I've got no traction. The car is just somehow, I'm steering like that, but by the time it comes to the stretch or the straight, I'm now going straight, and I'm still steering like that. It was just a shit show, but it was going okay. You know, we were fucking flying, perhaps doing more than double the speed limit, which was impressive in a little 1.6 MX-5, just a subtle flex again. Oh, and just for legal purposes, this is in GTA 5. Once I'd evaded these gimps and we've got rid of the car and it's out of sight and no one is finding it, and we basically regroup at these individuals' house, and the girl that I met for a second time has safely been brought back to a more normal, neutral circumstance, we'll go with. Well, actually, she's still surrounded by about 8 people. She has no idea who the fuck they are, and I've now turned up, which is great. She knows me not very well at all, apart from I've just got some crackers that are trying to chase me and her now. But anyway, she doesn't really seem too phased about the whole situation. She's just quite acceptant. Is that the word? She's a good recipient of the situation that has just occurred, right? And I'm apologising and this and that. And yeah, that was kind of it. On to the next day, really. It's now the next morning. I've come back to find the car, and it is more fucked than I could have realistically imagined. Like, I thought, okay, maybe replace the light and do like a little drift stitch on the bumper. Actually made it look a little bit better. Sure, there's some grazes. Nope. Quarter panel, and it's stoved in. It managed to repair it a little bit over time, but it's pretty fucked. Yeah, it's pretty fucked. So anyways, tried to fix that throughout the day and got the car back on the road, which probably wasn't the smartest decision anyways. Not that anything else happened after that, but it came down to now needing to contact the police. At least that's what I thought would be worthwhile. I believe we actually tried to contact them at night and had no fucking luck, and was told to basically contact them tomorrow. I'll do that then, whatever. Clearly no one fucking cares that I was just driving this shitty little dinger really hard to save my life. No one gave a fuck. Oh, and of course the girl I'd met for the second time in life, of course, as well. Come to ringing the police the next day, and all they could basically do was just note down what I'd said. There wasn't really anything else that could be done. By this point in time, I don't think it was a thing that you would do, but no one suggested about filling anything out online. It was just they made notes of it, and I think I came down to the station and gave a statement, and that's about as far as it went. At least that's how far it went for me. Of course, the other fucking dweebs contacted the police, made out it was all my flipping fault, like it was just roles reversed. Oh, okay, brilliant. So some psychopath with a girl that he'd met for the second time just decides to start ramming cars and people and fleeing a scene for his life. Really? That's how it fucking panned out in your eyes? You fucking... Oh my god. People. Then eventually I get a letter come through the post. Maybe months later. And what is it? It's a fucking court date. A court date? Yeah. I'm getting fucking shafted differently. The bastards are trying to get me done. Nothing to do with basically driving like a psychopath, but, well, kind of a little bit. They're trying to do me for driving without due care to attention and failing to report an incident within 24 hours. I know. I mean, it was maybe 4 hours. Within 4 hours, I tried to report it to you fucking imbeciles, but you didn't give a crap. And even if I hadn't contacted them at night, and it was the following day that I had first reached out to the police to contact them, it was still within 24 hours. In fact, I even brought my phone bill to court to prove, look, here, this is the evidence. I told you I tried to contact you. You did nothing. They didn't want to do that. They still slapped me with 8 points for failing to report an incident within 24 hours. I think I must have went to court maybe twice, realistically. But it took ages to get certain dates. Like, they just kept getting postponed. And this went on for quite a while. But I still had the whole thing above my head. Like, oh, I couldn't do X, Y, Z because I'm going to get all these points and probably have my license revoked. Which is what happened, by the way. And you know what, right? Yes, the outcome was basically worst case scenario, that I would get the 8 points, my license would be revoked, and I'd have to do my test all over again, which I can get into another point in time if anyone's concerned or intrigued enough. But I might have actually, I say, got away with it. I didn't actually do none of it was my fault. I didn't choose to be in that situation. I didn't want anything to go that way. I was just put in a very hostile situation, out of my control, and I reacted accordingly given the statistics of the surrounding areas with the knife crime and so on and so forth, yeah. But I actually thought that this whole shit might get dismissed and they might see exactly where I was coming from, until this gimp of, I'm guessing, a lawyer or a solicitor of some sort, funnily enough, on their fucking party of things as well, goes, he shouldn't have even been driving because he was banned for drink driving, which was almost true. I hadn't been banned yet. I was due to go to court in like 30 days time, and it wasn't drink driving, it was drunk and in charge of a vehicle. I was asleep in the car. Like, you cut me some slack. Again, fleeing a situation that I had to fucking avoid unless I wanted my head stoved in from some individuals closer to home than I'd have liked as well. But sat in a car asleep, and I was allowed to drive. I hadn't gone to court yet. I was fine. Like, Jesus Christ. Even he would have known that. And of course they hear that, the old fucking judge-a-roonies, and that's that. Oh, actually. Alright. You're guilty. Arrest me. So at this point in time, I think that's when I owned the Scirocco. I don't think I had all the R conversion bits and bobs done on it as of yet, but I had lost my license, basically. I had to apply for, I think, a whole new license, wait for that to turn up in the post, and then wait for a driving test date and even an instructor that would, I guess, want to take me on. I thought that was going to be an issue. That's a whole other story. That was just, I couldn't have made that up. That was just, yeah, it's fucking mind-blowing, the instructor. But anyway,